Okay, I've got to film this video quickly because it's way too cold in my apartment to be wearing this top, but I haven't gotten to wear it out all year. And if you can't wear a sparkly top on New Year's Eve, when can you? Hi everyone, Rosie here. Welcome or welcome back to my channel, and Happy New Year's Eve! To celebrate, I've got a vodka soda with hibiscus juice in it. I thought we could talk through some of my 2021 reading goals. I'm not big on New Year's resolutions. I never stick to them, but I do like goals. And reading goals are my favorite kind because reading's one of my favorite things. So I've set myself some goals for my reading, for my booktube channel, and then I have a TBR at the end of this video for a readathon I'm doing in January that'll help me start on some of those goals. My first goal for 2021 is to read 80 books. In the past, I've always set my goal at 52 books, sort of one book a week. Usually I meet it, some years I don't, but this year has been awesome for my reading. I'm filming this a bit in advance, but there's some chance that I might actually hit 100 books this year, which is crazy. I've never hit 100 books in a year. However, I don't want to let that go to my head. I don't want to start setting goals that are going to be too hard to reach because 100 books is a lot to maintain, especially if hopefully next year I get to leave the house a bit more. So I'm setting a goal of 80 books in 2021. That's about 6.5 books a month. I think that should be pretty doable, especially now that I'm reading audiobooks again, and now that I'm doing Booktube, which really helps motivate me to do my reading. My second book goal is to only buy one book for every 2 books that I read. If you've been around for a while, you will know that I have a very massive TBR of books that I own. I will link some videos about that up above in case you're interested. So I think I have something on the order of 200 books that I have not read and that I am potentially interested in reading. There's many hundred more that I'm not even thinking about reading right now, but there's a lot that I do want to get to and that I scroll through on my to be read list and go, yes, I want to read that, I want to read that, I want to read that, I want to read that. So I want to focus on reading a lot of those books. I'm not trying to get my TBR to 0 or anything, but I am trying to not keep adding more books than I can consume. On the other hand, I do want to have some flexibility to pick up new books or pick up books for buddy reads I want to do or new releases that come out that I think sound interesting. So I'm going to buy some books, but I'm going to try and limit my book buying at least a bit and work on bringing that number of unread books down a bit. My third goal is to read 6 classics in 2021. I read Emma in November of 2020. It was awesome. I will link my review up here in case you're interested in checking that out. But I had so much fun with it and it made me really want to pick up classics again. I've sort of assumed for many years that I just didn't like classics based on a few experiences I had as a teenager, and I'm starting to realize that maybe that's not the case and that it would be cool to pick up some more. My fourth goal is I would like to read 6 books in French in 2021. I think I've mentioned before that I have absolutely atrocious French grammar, and it's honestly at the point where I find it kind of embarrassing almost. I write in French sometimes for work, not usually formal things, but like emails to colleagues and stuff, and I always feel really like insecure about how bad my French grammar is because my spoken French is pretty decent. So I think people speak to me and assume that I'm really good at French, and then I write to them and they're like, is this person a 5-year-old? It's not that bad, but my written French really isn't good, and something I know really helped my written English was how much I've read throughout my entire life. So I'm hoping if I can read some more French books and expose myself to more written French, that will maybe help my French grammar a bit. Also, I'm willing to try anything other than doing grammar exercises, so this is a lot easier. My fifth reading goal is to read 6 sequels in series that I have already started reading. I have a really bad habit of reading the first book in a series or the first 2 books in a series, loving them, thinking they're amazing, and then just never getting around to reading the rest of the series. I'd like to fix that. So in 2021, I want to read at least 6 books where I've already read part of the series before 2021 starts. I'm sure I will start more series in 2021 as well and try and continue reading those, but this is something I really want to work on. There's so many series on the go that I love and that I want to read more of and that I'm just not prioritizing, so I'm hoping this goal will help me move some of those books towards the top of my TBR. If you are interested in knowing which series I will be thinking about continuing in 2021, I think I'm going to have some videos in the next weeks to month about what series I want to read more of and what series I've decided I'm just not interested in. If you're curious as to why I've chosen 6 books for the last 3 goals, it's kind of arbitrary, but also kind of, I just really don't want to make goals that are too ambitious. I figure with 6 books per goal, if I don't have any that cross count, because, you know, for example, I might read a classic in French, who knows? That's only 18 books in the year, so 1 or 2 books a month, which is pretty reasonable to keep working away on. I'm the sort of person who could easily sit down today in December 2020 and plan an 80-book TBR of absolutely everything I want to read in 2021, but I want to give myself the freedom to pick up books as I come across them. I want to give myself some flexibility and some choice throughout the year. So I think 6 books per category. I'm not setting specific ones. Again, I could make a list of 6 or 12 books for each of those where it's like, I want to read this and I want to read this, but then I feel like I'm the sort of person who will push myself to read those books even if I don't want to. So if it's just any 6 books, that leaves me open to say, wow, I heard about this classic or I heard about this book in French and it sounds amazing, I'm gonna pick it up. My last reading goal for 2021 is to try out a book club. I hear so many of the booktubers I subscribe to talking about the books that they're reading for their book clubs, and it sounds really fun. I'd love to try that. I really like buddy reading, so I imagine a book club is sort of like that, only with more people. It sounds like a great time. If there are any book clubs that you're part of that are accepting new members and you think I would enjoy, please let me know down below in the comments, because I'm on the lookout for one that would be fun to, just see what that's like. I've never really been in a book club, I don't think. Do you guys have reading goals? What are they? Are they much more specific? Are they more broad? I'm interested to hear where everyone falls on this. Next, I have 3 goals that will hopefully help me keep pushing myself in the booktube sphere and help me keep moving forward with my channel. When I'm filming this, I'm 2 subscribers shy of 100 subscribers, which is mind-blowing. I did not think I would get nearly this close by the end of 2020. I remember before I started my channel saying to my partner that, oh yeah, maybe if it goes really well, I'll have like 10 subscribers at the end of the year. So this is incredible. Thank you so much to everyone who subscribed. I appreciate each and every one of you. It's been great and I love having you all here. I don't, however, want to set a goal for the number of subscribers I want to hit in 2021, because that's something that's sort of arbitrary and out of my control. I can't make people subscribe to my content. I can't make people like my content. All I can do is make content that I like and that I want to make and that hopefully other people will enjoy and that they will connect to. My goals are set with the hopes of growing my channel, growing my YouTube skills, but I'm not aiming for a specific number of subscribers. My first booktube goal is to make 100 videos in 2021. For the last couple months, I've been posting twice a week, so that should be pretty doable. I'm setting 100 because 1, it's a nice round number, and round numbers are just like good goals to work for. Isn't it better to try and hit 100 videos than 104 videos? And also, I'm sure 2021 will have some strange stuff to throw at us as well, either big scale or personal level, so I want to give myself a bit of wiggle room to have some weeks where I only make 1 video if I'm busy or sick or who knows what. My second goal is to make 6 collaboration videos. Earlier in 2020, I did a collaboration with Emrita of Emrita by the Book. I'll link that video up here. And that was great. It was a really fun time. But it also made me think about all of the ways that we could have done it even better and ways that we could have made an even better collaboration video. So that's something I would like to do. This might surprise you, but I'm actually a quite shy person and approaching people is hard. So this will help me get out of my shell a bit and ask people to do things with me, which I find terrifying. If you have an idea for a collab video that you would like to do or are just interested in doing one in general, please let me know down below, because I'd love to start thinking about that and planning that a bit. My last booktube goal is to do at least 6 readathons or read-alongs. I've done a few so far. They've all been super fun. I found it super enjoyable every time, and every time I do one, I discover new booktubers whose content I love. So I want to do more of that in 2021. I'm considering this separate from the book club goal because it's not so much about reading a specific book with people as it is participating in something that the community is doing and being part of the community in that way. Although, of course, it's also about the reading. So let me know down below, if you have a booktube channel, do you have goals for it? Are there things that you're hoping to work towards this year? And if there's any way I can help you with those, please let me know too, because I'm really excited about collaborating in general. Now I'm gonna set aside my drink for a second because this next part requires me to read a bit. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I'm doing a readathon in January, so it is a Bookworm's New Year readathon. Readathon. It runs from January 1st to January 31st, and the goal is just to help people get started on their New Year's reading in a really positive way, maybe start knocking off some goals that they have, and just, yeah, start the year out on a strong foot. Or I guess a strong eye, because we're reading, not walking. It is hosted by Lizzie of Literary Lizzie, Mindy of Mindy's Book Journey, Noelle of Noelle's 7 Pages, and David of David's Book Reviews. I will link all of their channels below, of course. And before I get into my TBR, I'm going to list off the prompts really quickly. So they are: catch up, read a book you meant to read in 2020. Head start, read a book that has to do with one of your 2021 reading goals. Get it done, read the physical book you have left unread the longest. Decade reflection, reread your favorite book from 2011. Top of your TBR pile, read a book that is at the top of your TBR pile. No time like the present, read a book you are intimidated by. Diversify, read a book by a person of color, fiction or nonfiction. Change of scenery, read a book from a genre you don't normally read from but always wanted to read. And new beginnings, read a debut novel. Given that this is a month-long readathon, it's probably perfectly feasible to set a book for every prompt and try and hit them all. However, I've been setting myself fairly ambitious TBRs for the last several months, and I want to sort of take it easy. So I want to participate in this readathon, but I also don't want to feel like I'm really pushing myself and like, oh, I have to get all these books read. I've picked 5 prompts that I'm going to try and read a book for, and this is what they are. For the catch-up prompt, read a book you meant to read in 2020, I'm going to read Age of Wonder by Richard Holmes. This was on my nonfiction November TBR, which I will link up here, and it's the only one from that TBR that I didn't get to in November, and I've been wanting to read it for ages. Every time I mention it on this channel, people comment that it sounds so cool and they can't wait to hear what I think about it, and then I just don't get to it. So I would really, really like to read this one. From what I know, it's about the Age of Enlightenment in Europe and the scientific community in Europe at the time, and the various scientists who were doing work and what discoveries they were making and how they were collaborating. It all sounds amazing, and I just haven't gotten to it, so I'm hoping January is gonna be the month that I read this book. Next, for Head Start, read a book that has to do with one of your 2021 reading goals. I'm really knocking it out of the park with this one. I'm going to read Persuasion by Jane Austen. This novel follows 27-year-old Anne Elliot, who, when she was 19, was happily engaged to a naval officer, but was convinced by a friend to break off the engagement. He goes away to sea, her family falls into financial ruin, and then 8 years later, he comes back. He's successful, he's wealthy, her family is on the brink of poverty, and it follows what happens with them. And I think whether or not they can rekindle their love and have a happy life together, or whether it's too late. From what I understand, this book is really filled with regret, and Anne really regrets breaking off the engagement and spends a lot of time thinking about what could have been. It sounds amazing. As I mentioned before, I read my first Austen in 2020. I loved it, and I am so excited to read more. So this fills a lot of my 2021 goals. It's a classic, of course, so it's the first of my 6 classics for the year. I'm doing a group read organized by Emrita of Emrita by the Book for this one, so is that like a book club? Maybe? I guess we could call that a book club? Or maybe we could call it a read-along. Either way, it's working towards that sort of goal in general. And also, of course, doing readathons is one of my 2021 goals, so just by doing this, a Bookworm's New Year readathon, I'm meeting a goal. Awesome. Off to a great start. For Get It Done, read the physical book you have left unread the longest. I would like to read Rue Sainte Famille by Charlotte Hussey, which, despite the title, is in fact in English. This is a poetry collection, and I'm not positive if it's the book I've had physically the longest. There might be 1 or 2 on my shelves from before my gap year, which would put them at purchased in 2016 latest. But I bought this one in 2017 when I got back from my gap year and was so excited that I wasn't living out of a backpack and could therefore like acquire physical books as opposed to just reading my ebooks. What I didn't realize when I bought this is that 1, I wasn't even into poetry at the time, and 2, I was absolutely in love with reading on my Kindle, so I never thought to pick up those physical books. There's actually several that I bought on the same day as this one on my shelf still unread. We'll get to that at some point. However, I've now read a bit of the description, and it sounds amazing, so go past Rosie for buying this book. The back says that this is an examination of her place in family among women and men, and in a history marked by various mythologies and psychological impulses. I don't know too much more about this. It's poetry, it's about family and relationships, it's by a female Canadian author. I'm sold. I'm excited to pick this one up. Also, it's poetry and it's tiny, so it's going to be a super quick read, which is great to start off the year strong. For the prompt, No Time Like the Present, read a book you are intimidated by, I'm going to pick up The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. This is by no means the longest book on my TBR shelves, although it is up there. But this is one that I'm just, intimidated by. I tried to read it, I want to say in 2019 or early 2020, maybe 2018. When did anything happen at this point? And I know it's set in the 1300s in Italy, and a monk shows up at a monastery because there's been accusations of heresy against the monks who live in this monastery, so he's sort of there to investigate and report back about whether they're being heretics or not. And while he's there, there's a series of strange, bizarre murders, and he needs to solve the murders. In theory, this sounds like other books that I have really enjoyed, so I think I'll actually like it. I think I just went in expecting something it wasn't last time and then got thrown off. It's quite slow paced and I think quite literary, so hopefully if I go in expecting that this time, I go in thinking about it from that perspective. I'm gonna read this slowly, I'm gonna think about it, I'm gonna take a whole month if I have to. Hopefully it'll go better this time and I'll be able to really enjoy it. And the final prompt I will be doing is New Beginnings, read a debut novel. For this prompt, I've chosen Milk, Heat, Blood by Dantiel Moniz. This is cheating a bit because it's technically a short story collection, not a novel, but it is this author's debut book. She's had short stories published before, but never in a single book volume with just her work. So that's cool. Also, it's a 2021 release. I have an e-arc from NetGalley and it's scheduled to be released on February 2nd. I think it'll be pretty cool to start the year off with a book that's so new and so fresh, so that should be really fun. As for what this book is about, it apparently depicts the sultry lives of Floridians in intergenerational tales that contemplate human connection, race, womanhood, inheritance, and the elemental darkness of us all. That sounds amazing! That sounds like something I am going to adore, so I am so excited to read this book. I'll put up the board over here, but as you can see, I've done the top row and the right-hand column. I think that should be a pretty manageable TBR. A lot of the books might be kind of dark / slow, I'm not too sure, but it's only 5 books, so I should have lots of space to add in fun, short, lighter novels or nonfiction books as the month goes to sort of break it up a bit. This brings us to the end of my 2021 goals and my Bookworm's New Year Readathon TBR list. I want to finish by wishing you all a very, very happy new year. I hope that 2021 is a lot better for you than 2020 has been. I hope you have a fantastic reading year in 2021. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more of my videos about all of the books I'm going to read in 2021, how crazy is that to say? Please hit subscribe and thank you for watching.